Happy Saturday. Happy Saturday. We are live. Happy Saturday, creators. We're joined by a wonderful guest here. She's going to tell us about herself in a minute, but we'll let you all come in. We have a question right here, guys. The question for today is, what mantra grounds you or connects you to your faith? We all know that sometimes you feel honed in, you feel zoned in, you feel connected, and sometimes by the end of the day, you're like, what's going on here? I like to always describe it as like being on a horse. So I'm like, today the horse was just dragging me along, or I was holding on today, or I was riding that horse today. But we know sometimes we have our on moments and our off moments. So what's something that grounds you or reminds you, to get connected and keeps you in that place? What mantra grounds you or connects you to your faith? So come on in, guys. Say hello. We're going to talk about a little bit of news that's going on this week for our nonprofit Facebook group as well. And spring is starting soon, so I'm so excited about that. I think most of you guys have seen our March calendar. Our theme for the month is Marching into Abundance. And we did that. Shout out to our wins as an organization. We helped more organizations this week than we have helped yet this entire year. So we were like, I was doing the march of, when I said marching into abundance, I meant for my clients, for you all, what can I add to you all to get you all more connected to abundance? I wasn't even thinking about our specific organization. But that tells you how God works, so we'll dive more into that in a little while here. And let's go ahead and dive in a bit. Michelle, how would you answer that question? What's a mantra that grounds you or connects you to your faith?
So I would definitely say it was a scripture, which is a pretty familiar one, Philippians 4:13. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Absolutely. So whenever a situation comes my way, I'm like, I can do this. I can do this. So
I love that. Yes, absolutely. That's definitely a grounding scripture for a lot of people. A lot of people, especially when you have children. I don't know if that's one that you use a lot for your children, but it's a good one for them to remember. And I'm just thinking about the homeschool thing that we're doing right now and virtually, and what that, when I was first starting with homeschool, a little side pivot since we're a couple minutes early. When I was first starting with him, I knew, of course, because of COVID, we weren't planning on doing it this way, but I knew that we were going to have to break down all of the educational things and teach him, how to focus and how to, get his things done, ABCs, 1, 2, 3s, that type of stuff. But I didn't realize how much of a mindset opportunity it was to teach on mindset, to teach on being grounded, to teach him about faith and things like that. So that's just definitely been a silver lining in us being super connected to the educational process, So it's definitely, absolutely. I know your kiddos school from home, but now they're back into school as well, which is great.
We actually, we put them in private school, which was a surprise to us, but it's been great. It's been great.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, I would say for me, guys, my favorite one I mention all the time, but it's worth repeating because it is one that when I think about, like I said, it always grounds me. And that's, I'm in the right place at the right time. Even my delays are divine. As an entrepreneur, the quickest way to get me ungrounded and unconnected is when I feel overwhelmed. That's normally the thing that, I got this list. Oh, I'm not. I think we talked about this and we're going to dive into it on the tips, but talked about this a little bit before we came on live, that you just feel like, I'm supposed to be here. I should already have this done. Or you're comparing yourself to maybe other organizations or other individuals. And, and just once that overwhelm kicks in for me and it's like, I'm behind and I need to get this, I'm totally disconnected. So that specific mantra for me says, and I've seen it happen in my life so many times where I'll think I'm behind. As a matter of fact, I'll give you guys an example. This, I would say it was maybe about the last 2 weeks with a specific client. We had gotten everything complete with them and we were in the last final stage of submission for them. Somehow, with our systems, they didn't go to that final stage of submission. They went to submit it. And I didn't realize that happened. It went into the submitted category instead of submission. Well, guess what happened? 5 days after that, it went into the submitted, and we didn't realize it. How we realized it was they reached out to us and realized they wanted to change their name. Had it had gone in the right place, had it gotten submitted or whatnot, it would have been a completely different process for us to change their name. But because of that error, we were able to get their name changed, and that wasn't an issue at all. And I've had that happen countless times for me, where it's like, oh no, I have to get this done by this time, and then somehow that deadline ended up being moved, or that project maybe ends up getting canceled. I'm like, I'm glad I didn't spend a whole lot of time working on this. So that's one that really helps me, because that's the biggest area that I get a little, as a timekeeper, as a time manager, that I feel like that's my gift. If I feel like my time is all over the place, it completely disconnects me.
Yeah.
So happy Saturday, Marika. What's the mantra that you use that grounds you and connects you to your faith? Drop them on in, guys. And as you guys are dropping them in, we will go ahead and let Michele introduce herself and her organization to you guys. She has been on a couple of times before, but it's been some time. So Tell us a little bit about your organization.
Hi, everybody. My name is Michele Pilla, and I am the founder of Wholesome Riches. We are a mission to Camden City, New Jersey, which is an urban area, if you're not familiar. And our mission is to partner with the schools in order to see families set free out of poverty, living and thriving, knowing their creator, and just really walking the journey with them. So that's our mission in a nutshell.
That's awesome. So you have a special place with your nonprofit specifically for youth?
Yes. Yeah.
Awesome. What can I ask, like, an off-topic question? Because that's what connected you, or when do you feel like you first knew that your organization was going to be designed for youth? Is there a moment in your life that you realized, I really want to touch the youth specifically?
Yeah, it's when I began teaching there. So that's right out of college. I got my first teaching job in Camden. And it's kind of funny. They hired me because I'm a health teacher, but they wanted, everybody in the area wanted health and phys ed. Well, I never had the phys ed. I only had the health. I loved health. I loved teaching health. I loved, seeing people just be the best that they could be. But it was very difficult to find a job in that one specific area. But in Camden, they really needed teachers, and it was hard for them to find teachers. So they hired me. And honestly, that's one of those things that even my setbacks are divine, like you were saying. It was divine because I couldn't get a job anywhere else. And this is really where I fell in love with the people, and so that's where my love of the youth came, and just to see them thriving. So.
Absolutely. And I think that's a bit of a process, or a bit of a part, should I say, of the faith walk, is realizing that all parts of your story, I kind of feel like there's this moment when you realize, oh my goodness, I've been preparing all my life for what I'm doing right now, or for this moment. I see how this piece went into it, which I didn't, of course, you may not have even wanted that piece, or it may not have been, you didn't think it was even connected at that time. And then you realize it's all part of your story, and that everything is unfolding perfectly. So I think that that's part of that faith as well, that, I might not understand this, but it's unfolding perfectly. Let's see, Grand Rising Gala. Jermont said, with God, all things are possible. I like that as well.
Yeah, one, Jermont.
Yes, with God, all things are possible. And it is so important. How valuable has mantras and having things that you can meditate on been for your journey?
Oh my goodness, humongous. If you could see around my office right now, all I have are big plaques with beautiful scriptures written on them, because I have to constantly remind myself. I feel like my default is to worry. My default is to be anxious, and I need to be reminded of truth. So I put truth all around me.
Absolutely.
So.
And that's a good point to make as well, that we naturally look for problems to solve. And that can definitely increase anxiety. That can definitely put you in a bad place, because you could be in the place where you're constantly looking for problems. And if you're constantly looking for problems, you're going to constantly attract problems, because, God's like, okay, that's what you like. Here you go, And so, everyone has that person in their family sometimes that go to. that go-to resource. And what I've learned is from thinking about the go-to resource in my family, that can also be a stressful position to have in your family. If everyone is going to you with problems and with, issues and things like that, you have to set up some type of boundaries when it comes to that area as well. So it's so important, like you said, that you put up those different scriptures and things like that. So you're thinking about, again, our mind naturally sometimes goes to the negative. So one thing that I do personally is I love Trello. I introduced Michelle to Trello. She loves it too now. I love Trello. I have a Trello board marked and I title it Love. And what I do on that Trello board is anything that happens in my life, whether it's monetarily, whether it's a moment with my husband or with my family, something that did not happen to have to happen. It's like a gratitude journal for me. And I just listed in there, like, this happened. I had this wonderful experience. This client came out of nowhere. I connected with this person, and just list all of those things. And when I'm feeling a certain kind of way, or when I'm not feeling energized or I'm feeling off, I'll go and I'll read through all of those little things, all those things I can be grateful for. Gratitude and gratefulness has been huge on my faith journey. Focus on those things.
That's good.
And I know one of your points, we'll dive right in. I know one of the things that you wanted to talk a little bit about was focusing on where you are right now, which I think ties into gratitude a little bit. Let's go ahead and share that one.
You want me to start there?
Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry, I think I pulled it. I don't think it was number one, but
that's okay. That's definitely was be great where you are.
Yeah.
Be great where you are. That's something that I've learned, and I'm still learning, is that we're not always where we want to be or where we think we ought to be, or maybe circumstances have even changed where we are, but we can be great where what we're doing currently. Just do it great. Do it with excellence, do it with intentionality, do it with love, make people feel awesome and welcome when they're in your presence, and we'll get promoted.
Absolutely.
Whatever that looks like. We just have to just give it our 100% while we're there.
Absolutely, being 100%. I'm one of the things that I say is, nothing happens by mistake. Everything happens for a reason. So if you really, really believe that, if that's a belief that you choose to have, that everything happens for a reason, that means you bumping into someone at the grocery store, from the mail that maybe came to your house, but was supposed to go to your neighbor's house. Yeah. That might lead to a conversation or that's every little thing. You're meant to be the mother of the children that you have. You're going to give them something nobody else can give them because God entrusted you. You get to be. That's another thing I do mentally and mantra wise is I say, I get to, because sometimes I might have 5 coaching sessions and stuff or something like that. And I will say that can kind of be draining energetically sometimes. And I could go into, oh my gosh, I have a lot to do today, or I have 5 coaching calls. And instead of easy way for me to shift energy is say, I get to connect to 5 wonderful women today, and they're all impacting their communities in this kind of way. And I get to find out what's their next most impactful step that they can make to really increase their growth and get them closer to their vision. And that's wonderful. And so even just that, I get to be at home with my child during this time, and this was something I wasn't planning for, but I get to be here. I get to see how teachers teach and be a part of that process and understand that process as well, which allows me to be a better support, because sometimes for me, it was like, I don't pay as much attention when he was going off. Now I just get to be knee deep in that. And so I absolutely love that point, sinking in to where you are today and the opportunities that you have today. Let's see, a couple of people added their mantras as well. It's good to have reminders around us and affirmations. Absolutely, write it down. That sometimes is your next action step. Simply writing something down, simply taking some time to brainstorm, to brain dump, to listen, and to write down exactly what's coming to you, so that absolutely it's important to put those reminders up, because we know sometimes consciously we'll listen to something. Just like in talking about that conscious and subconscious, sometimes you might hear a sermon, or you might just hear something motivational on YouTube or something. You're like, wow, that was life-changing. I'm feeling good about it. You literally the next day could forget
Yeah.
What was, if you did not write that down or if you didn't pin it? Another thing I just started doing this week, another Trello board, is when I do see something that really ignited me or something I want to share later on with a client or with you all live, I've been taking and putting that, creating a database inside of Trello with, abundance. This was a good one on abundance. I got some good tips out of here. Mindset, whatever those keywords are. So you almost have something you can go back to and search for, because the harder it is for you to find that motivation when you're in those low moments, the easier it is for you to sink deeper into that. So I'm glad. I love that you put all those things up. My son does that as well. He does the whole mirror and everything will be up across everywhere. Yes, absolutely. Let's see here. I am grateful for all that is unfolding in my life and all that is yet to come. I love that.
Yeah.
That puts you in an immediate attitude of gratitude. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Oh, okay. And she typoed. That's okay. Good morning. I will definitely save this. You can come back and watch this later. These will always be on here in the database. Thank you, Yolanda, for asking. You can definitely come back. All the lives are available both for replay. Thank you, hon. That support, that team. Absolutely. That leads to one of my tips right there, which is being organized. Organization is my first love. And me and Michelle were just talking about, we mentioned something and I was like, let me write that down. And that's my ultimate go-to. Sometimes I feel like, specifically for me, and your strengths and your weaknesses, I know there's somebody who has great memory and they have their whole organization system in my head. I don't trust my mental memory organization at all. I keep everything written down. And that for me allows me to be able to be more connected, because instead of relying that precious mental space that is limited, by the way, there's only so much that you can take in and hold.
Yeah.
Instead of focusing on remembering certain things and what am I supposed to be doing at this time, and did I do this? Did I create this to this list or that? I keep everything jotted down. I utilize Trello, which is being tied to teams and outsourcing and tasks and things like that, and it allows me to stay in a connected place. Because it's like I don't have to remember. I keep on messing up that word. I'm not remembering the word remember, but I don't have to rely on that. And I can, something can come to me and I can write that down, or I can just be more in tune. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Even house-wise, even as far as organizing, I had read a quote the other day that said, it said, organize your place, organize your home. That's all energy. And that ties to you as well. So whatever, that wasn't exactly how it went, but whatever, your space also affects your mood, affects your faith, affects how you connect as well. So having even sacred spaces. I know a lot of women have prayer closet or meditation areas and things like that. I would highly recommend having a space that you have where you connect. I know for me, I love sunrises and I love just, that's one of the ways I connect. So I make sure that my prayer space is centered around being able to let that sun shine and having that time to connect with God as well. Do you have a sacred space in your home?
My space is moved depending on what's happening.
I love that.
But ideally, my space would have like a little table with a chair with the light coming in that I can, like you said, just, feel that connection. One thing that I've started doing that was really important was writing a list before bed, so that I know I don't have to think about it while I'm sleeping. I don't have to wake up and say, oh, don't forget to do that. It's already there, and I can sleep in peace knowing my list is there when I wake up. I don't have to sit here and hold it in my brain. So
I love that. I love that, because it's the simplest things, how you sleep.
Yes.
That is a foundation for how you're going to feel that next day, and how they say you can wake up on the wrong side of the bed because little things happen, then something else unfolds, and it all started from, you not waking up the time you wanted and not knowing what you're supposed to do first. For me, 100%, I agree with that preferably the night before, but if not, almost the very first thing I do that morning is make sure I have an understanding of what needs to take place that day, how it's going to take place, and having that plan kind of set aside. I love the idea of doing it before you go to bed and
Yeah,
just making sure that I feel like you probably get better rest.
I do.
Just having that already there and already taken care of. And when you wake up, that automatically puts you in a good mood as well of
Yes.
knowing again, already know what to expect. And you're already, I feel like, starting to manifest even in your sleep the things that you want to accomplish that day. You're able to meditate on them when you wake up as opposed to creating them and trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
So I absolutely love that. Another thing related to that sleep, guys, for me, just a little bonus tip when it comes to connecting to my faith, I would say waking up early and having some early time. I personally, which I never thought I would get to this, but I do not like waking up to alarm clocks. My body has gotten to the point now that it wakes up naturally at 5 o'clock, 5:30 at the very latest, and I'm able to just get out of bed. It's almost the opposite. Every blue moon, my husband sets an alarm for something, and that completely will throw me off. I'm like, what? If an alarm goes off, that automatically completely takes me out of that zone a little bit. So for me, and everybody's different, that's another tip. Find out what are the things that goes around in your environment with the people around you, the things that you take in, whether that be food, water, things like that. What is the perfect environment that keeps you connected? And starting to take note on that, which leads to another one of our tips we discussed, which is self-care.
Yeah.
Those are all that's all things that can put you when you're practicing self-care, you're saying I'm just as important as my mission and the people that I'm serving as well. That's that win-win mentality that you guys hear me talk about all the time. It's not, and I say this because I came from a place for so long where it was, is that if everyone else is winning, if everyone else in my family is good, it was like admirable, I would say, somehow for me mentally to be put last. And I almost thought that it was a selfish thing to say, okay, let me make sure that I've taken some time aside today. Let me make sure that this is something I want to do as well. And when I had that aha of no, it's called self-full. And those individuals around you want you to take time for self-care. They're supporting you in that way. And you can do both. I can win and you can win at the same time. That was huge for me.
Yeah.
What are some of the things you do to practice self-care?
Yeah, I mean, when you said wake up early, I mean, that's probably the number one thing that I learned even when our kids were toddlers. Now they're teenagers, but I have to get up. I mean, 2 hours before they get up is really what I'm going for, but at least an hour and a half just to have that time of quiet, water, coffee, quiet, Jesus, I'm good. Yeah. Like that's a good start to the day. And just to get that time is really life-changing for me. That's where I get all my ideas. That's where I'm like, oh, wait, I haven't saw that neighbor next door that was sick. I probably should go over and say hi to them. Just different things that you forget about that are important. You need that quiet time. Another self-care that you had mentioned was just eating healthy, drinking lots of water, being careful what you put in your body, because it's just like a gas tank. What we put in is what we get out. So put in junk, then I feel like junk. If I put in good things, I feel good and I can produce more. So.
Absolutely. I would say for that, I mean, I remember there was a time, and I'm always, number one, plant-based. So we try to center our meals around plants. But there was a time where I had hit this really sweet spot in health with supplements and plants. I really literally felt like I was like, I want to fly in a minute because all these, especially if you haven't been taking the best care of your body for your life, I feel like it connects so much mentally. Your brain and where your spirit resides is a place that is also built up of the fuel that you put into it. So I feel like it also opens me up and connects me to my faith when I'm eating the right things and when I'm absolutely, I definitely agree with that. And I'll take it a step further because you said what you put in physically and what you put in mentally and spiritually, the people that you're around, the things that you are watching. Your time is the most valuable thing that you have. Not just valuable in a sense of, some people think like, oh, okay, whatever, valuable, not related to money. No, your time is the most valuable thing you have, even monetarily. People are literally all the time paying for eyeballs. Anything that you're watching online, you're supporting. They're able to run ads because of that and things like that. So there's actually a monetary value on what you put your time into. I think that so many times I see people around me kind of lackadaisically intaking things.
Yeah.
That's not beneficial to what they're supposed to be creating.
As Americans, we're consumers.
Yeah.
We are brought up to be consumers. And that's not always a good thing.
Absolutely
not. What we're consuming.
I heard a sermon that was life-changing for me one time, and it was talking about consumption versus creation. And that simple little algorithm is the key to everything. If you feel like you're not getting or you're not manifesting the type of life you want, how much percentage of your time are you spending consuming versus creating? And you're going to consume some. That's how we connect, but more than likely, if there is something that's off, whether that be monetarily, whether that be what you're attracting, the people you're attracting, finances that you are or aren't attracting, it's because you are over consuming and you're not creating from what you consumed. It's great to consume, but also create. It's also think about, what am I adding to the collective? What am I bringing? Because I'm a firm believer, Michelle will tell you, on the value. When you focus on the value and you focus on the service, the money, the connections, all of those things follow right behind you. Yes. So I think that's so important to notice. What am I consuming right now? Mm-hmm. How much have I created this week? Just having those questions is huge. Let's see. Marika added, less is more. Oh, I love this. I love minimalism. It's crazy because I have abundant minimalism. I think that they can go into the same room.
They can.
Absolutely. Less is more. I use this one when I feel like I haven't done enough in the day. I had to accept, oh my gosh, when do you ever feel that? I know Marika, she does so much. I can't even imagine that she feels that way. But I had to accept and realize I didn't have to always cram a million things into my day. Absolutely. That's huge. That is huge. One of the things that I've been working on for a very long time, and finally, I will say, within the last month or two, really strictly implementing, is the 3 main big priorities per day rule. Mm-hmm. That if you're going to be, if you want to, basically, it doesn't mean you're only doing 3 things in the day, but what it means is if nothing happens except for these 3 things, I am excited. I will feel good about myself because these were the most important things that I needed to accomplish today. And that really just simplifies the schedule, because I'm the same way. If I have this long list and I don't know when it's going to get done because it's not in a time block, it's just that constant state of overwhelm.
Yes.
And that immediately, for me at least, takes me out of connection. I'm no longer connected, which being connected for me is where those, like you said, those ideas come from, and where it's like, you know what? Wow, this was really weighing heavy on me. And because I opened up this time and I created a space where I can connect, a solution comes that was going to take 40 hours. And now I've realized, oh, I'm going to outsource that, hire someone to do that. And now it's going to take me 1 hour to do that. That's huge.
Yes. Yeah, so because when our energy is drained from these other things. I mean, I feel like for me, that's when I lose my temper with the kids, or I'm not as patient as I want to be, because all of my good energy got wasted worrying about all, like she just said, the woman that was just on here, got the million things you want to do, when that's not even fair to put that on ourselves. It's not at all. It's not realistic.
Absolutely.
We wouldn't expect somebody else to do that, so why are we expecting ourselves to do that?
Not to mention, it pulls you from the journey. You miss things, you miss connections. Sometimes we're praying for certain things. I remember for a long time, and we're still building in our marketing area. We still have things to do. But I remember at one point in time in our business, I feel like I was obsessed with being on top of all of the marketing things. Me and Michelle was just talking about all of the social media outlets that are out there now, and what you should be doing on each of them, and how you're. And I had this huge aha moment where I realized, why am I doing all of these things? Why do I have this entire list for marketing? And the reason I had this entire list was so that I could connect with more people. So as long as I was connecting with individuals each day, that was the priority. We will slowly get all of these bows tied and put this perfect picture together, or close to perfect. But the goal is to connect. And so if you're connecting in whatever way, if people are reaching out through referral, whether that be, the great thing about doing things online and about marketing and videos like this is the fact that while you're watching this video live right now, someone may be watching a recording of a video that we did, and that's an opportunity to connect. It's a productive way for you to be able to share your mission. That's one thing that Michelle does that I would love for you to talk about a little bit. I know you go on live. I know you're goaling to go on more, but you were going on live every week, probably all of 2020.
We did, although, it's not my favorite thing to do, but I have people like Tracy in my life that push me and push me and push me. So I just take one little step. But yeah, we go live every time so we do food distributions. That's our main thing right now. Like I said, we really want to do programs in the school for the kids and their parents. But with the schools being closed in the city for the pandemic, our main thing now is the food distribution. So, which is wonderful because we get to interact with hundreds of families every week.
Absolutely.
So, basically, we try to make that the best experience for them, because sometimes standing in a line for food it's embarrassing.
Yeah.
And, I know there was a time in my life where I had to do that, and I remember what that felt like. It didn't feel good. So we want to make that enjoyable for people. So we try to connect with them and, hand them books and play music for them, and anything we have that would just encourage them. That's what we're there to do. Yeah.
And I feel like that's so tied to the mission of helping families and youth, because, if you don't have these physical things, again, we talked about food and eating the right foods in order to connect, but just the idea of having food scarcity, which I've been there as well, where you don't know just if you're going to eat or if the people around you are going to eat it. You have to do these different things because whether it be food banks or whether it be utilizing maybe government assistance and things like that. And that can be sometimes definitely hard on your faith walk. Yes. Because you're like, oh my goodness, I had to utilize these services. I had to ask someone for something. But the great thing about that is those are all parts of your journey. So now you can connect and you can serve and you can say, you know what? I remember having to go through this. How can I make this a better experience? How can I make this what can I put into it from my experiences? And that's another thing to me connected to the faith walk, is making sure that you realize and how powerful, how valuable, how unique you are. No one has had the experiences that you've had. Yeah. No one has had that same combination. So you have a unique energy, a unique sauce, so to speak, unique services to provide by themselves, even if they're not perfectly formatted, even if it's not the exact route that you thought you would take or whatnot. And when you tie to that, everything else becomes easier because you know your value, you know? And so I think that that's huge. One thing I noticed with your nonprofit Faith Walk from the outside looking in was that you were focused on value. You're focused on helping. You've been focused on your actions have been speaking for themselves from day one. A lot of times, and you guys were one of a small bracket of organizations that received several grants in their first year. I don't believe that was by mistake that your action spoke first and you receive that funding, because I believe that funding follows value. Funding follows the value you're given, the impact you're making to the community. So I would say that would be a number one tip for people to remember as well when it comes to nonprofit and faith walk. What value are you adding? Again, what are you creating versus consuming? Because I know for me, just think of the funders as yourself. And who you fund, and what you would do or the questions you would ask if someone was asking for something to be funded. And I know for me, if I want to impact a certain specific area of the community, such as women coming out of domestic violence or such as youth, I want to make sure that who I'm funding is actually impacting that area of the community.
Yeah.
It's pretty simple. I don't want to fund an idea because I don't know for sure if it's just an idea, how long after I give them these funds, will it actually be implemented? And while I'm waiting that time out, guess what's going on? The problem is still existing.
Yeah.
The funds are just sitting there. I would much rather tie my funds to some movement. I already know they're tied to this area of the community. Okay, great. They don't have to make those connections. Now I can just immediately start impacting because that's where God has led me to impact with my funds and with whatever is coming in or with my income. Another thing for you guys to remember as nonprofits is people donate. People naturally have, whether it be to their church, nonprofit organizations, people doing things in the community, whether it be just donating, a lot of people hand out funds and things like that. I know a lot of people personally that always keep a certain amount of cash. And if God leads them, they'll just hand certain individuals a certain amount of cash. People are naturally, especially if you know individuals who you feel like are in a higher income level, they more than likely donate in some type of way. So it's really just about, how can I be the type of nonprofit that they would want to donate to?
Yeah. That was one of our tips, was money follows mission.
Yeah.
And you've taught me this, and my husband's been saying this since day one, don't chase after the dollars, just go and do what God's laid in your heart. And Tracy, you've said this to me before. What will you do no matter what?
Yeah.
No matter what, if you're working full time, if you're not, what do you have to do? Or it's just not a good day. Yeah. And I was like, oh wow, yeah, that's what I need to do. And guess what? We're still here. Bills are still paid. We're still rolling, and God sends it in the most unique of ways. So
absolutely. And I think it's important to note, like, what is faith to us individually, or the nonprofit faith walk? And just as a basic definition, it means you don't know what the entire picture looks like. I think sometimes, sometimes we can't help but to look at other people or compare ourselves to other organizations and think that they had this crystal clear, knew exactly what step from what step, and that's the way this thing works. And I haven't seen it work that way yet. Maybe it is somewhere, but most of the entrepreneurs I connect with, they are moving before they know exactly how everything is going to come together. Do you think I defined that correctly?
I think you nailed it right on the head. I think that's one of the most, besides not knowing how you're going to be funded, that is the second most frustrating thing to me. I think that I just want to plan it out. I just want to see, okay, we're going to do this and we're going to do this, and then it's going to like that. And it's not that way. You take one step where you're being led, you do it really well, and you keep doing it really well until the next door opens. And then you do that. And long term really what you have in your heart to do, but there's steps to get there. And if it's of God, it will happen. We don't have to force it. We can't force it. So we just need to have peace and enjoy the ride, and have wonderful people around you, and mentors and coaches, and to just help you and ease you and give you wisdom as you take your next steps.
Absolutely. And that way you can really sink into the steps that you're in. There's a coach that always says, stay in the step you're in. Sometimes we just start to get way too far down the line, 10 years down the line, or whatever the case may be. And one visual that I had gotten a couple of weeks ago was, when you focus on one thing, when you're focused on that step, no matter what, you can almost do anything. If you're giving it your all, again, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. If you're giving it your all, then there's pretty much no mountain that you can't move. But as soon as you split it.
Yes, that's right.
Yes, as soon as you split it, and then split it, that one into 4, and then split that into here, all of a sudden now you're doing everything halfway. And all of a sudden now you're missing stuff, and all of a sudden now you're dropping balls. So just to focus in itself is huge. If you can figure out how to focus on one thing, like you said, what is this one step? What is this very next step I need to do? Then I'll focus on the next step. Because sometimes things come by surprise. Sometimes I heard this story the other day. One of my clients was saying that they started their nonprofit organization, which is to support Broward County Sheriff's Department. That's their nonprofit organization, because they got in an accident. And they met a sheriff, and they were seeing all the things that they have to do, and they were able to connect, and they said, this is who I want to help. So sometimes it's not the things that you're looking that are going to place the connections. You never know what it is. Being connected and making sure that you're in the right place at the right time is huge, and you never know what it's going to look like. You never know who this person is connected to that might connect you more to your vision, to the development and things like that. So I definitely agree with what you were saying, which is focusing on that one step, because you're able to be fully present in that step. Let's see.
That's why it's such a great topic that you have, the faith walk of a nonprofit, because I don't know any other way. I don't know any other way but to have the faith to know that things are working for our good, and to trust that every detour that looks like a detour is really just another step closer to that goal. And so to have that faith is peace, and to have peace is everything. I mean, right? I mean, you can have all the money in the world. If you don't have peace, what good is it?
Well, absolutely. Absolutely.
So yeah. So
everything is working out for me. That's another mantra that I use often, which is life is happening for you, not to you.
Yes.
That's a really tough one, because sometimes you're like, oh, why would that happen? Or why would this happen? Or, oh my goodness, but just like you can get negatives from that, you might have gotten something that's going to be positive in the future. Or maybe the lesson you learn from that is going to stop something that would have happened in the future that you would have thought differently about. But now you'll be able to utilize what you went through. So life is happening.
We're not victims. We don't have that victim mindset,
Absolutely. And everything is working out. Everything is working together. That's another one as well, that this is all working together for my good, for what's going to be beneficial. And even if I don't understand.
The Bible is full of truth, Tracy.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Even with my memory. But I'm gonna switch that around. That's another important tip on how you speak, So I'm gonna switch that around and say I have amazing memory. It's coming. Absolutely. But I also write everything down and work with the things I know I'm gifted at and the things I know I'm not.
That's wisdom.
That's wisdom. Absolutely. Let's see. I will listen to my body and give it what it needs. I'm taking that, writing that one down and utilizing that. Because for some reason, for me, I'll just say truth moment. My body and my health is the first thing that goes if it's time to rush. If we're about to rush, I immediately think, okay, what's quick that I can grab? Okay, I'm not going to be able to get on the treadmill today. I'm just going to skip that step. That is always for some reason, the first thing. And so to say, I will listen to my body and give it what it needs, that might mean I didn't finish this list, or I didn't finish what I had to get done. But you know what? I am really feeling tired. Yeah. Sometimes I'll literally, one thing is, I'll get itchy when I've worked too long. I know it's weird. Like my body will literally, and it was so funny. I'm always talking about skincare and things like that. And I was talking to one of my colleagues, and I was like, she was working on her skincare and things. And I was like, your skin also reflects the stress that's going on around you and stuff like that. And sometimes you're talking to other people and you realize I need to listen to this as well. Like, so literally, if it's getting to the end of the day, I will start getting itchy. My skin will, and I'm like, wow, my skin is reflecting it's time to calm down. It's time to take a break. They really say that 99% of disease and physical ailments comes from stress.
I believe it.
So it's huge. You think that that's your number one thing that you stop, but in all actuality, if you keep stopping that back to back every day, that being okay, I'll just put that on the back burner. Eventually, it's going to come to the front burner. And, you're going to have to focus on it.
Yes. And I'm sorry to interrupt you. No. I'm just thinking sometimes it's just, how that saying, a stitch in time saves 9.
Yeah.
So true, because sometimes all you really need is maybe 15 minutes, 20 minutes. and I try to do that while the kids are out of the house at school. And I know sometimes it's not possible if you have kids at home, but maybe just lock yourself in your bedroom for 10, 15 minutes and just literally just lay down, because when you're a mom, you got a lot going on the rest of the day. You still got that whole day ahead after 3:00, and just taking that little time, taking some tea, whatever, coffee, whatever you need, just to rest, give yourself that grace.
Absolutely.
It's
Absolutely. It's amazing. Not only is it amazing, it also affects the people around you, because your kids are constantly watching you. It teaches them to take some time out and take care, even if it's a discussion. Like, you know what, mommy is is tired right now. I'm about to take a nap. So
mommy's
like that. And they're learning from that as well. So that is huge, to take aside that time for yourself. That's absolutely. And sometimes, like you said, it's the smallest things. It may even be creating boundaries. I know that for me, there was a moment a little while ago where one of the things they were doing in kindergarten, they made a cave and they were reading in the cave. And I wasn't set to do that. That was not something that they could just do on the virtual and read in the cave. But I got in the cave with him, and he was doing his little reading time, and I was like, I want to sit here this entire time and be in. And there was a couple of things. Someone called me about this or that, and I was like, I'll just do that after. But for now, I'm going to be fully present in this cave with my son, who's just starting to read, and just enjoy this moment. And and so just taking those moments and being okay with it. I love that one there, Marika. Gayla said, how are you able to use your faith to help grow your nonprofit? How would you say that tied specifically to your nonprofit?
I think she really leads into the next thing, Gayla, was my next tip was abide rather than strive. Because just by nature, I'm a go-getter. I'm not a smart person. I'm really not. I'm not great with technology. I always have to surround myself with smart people who are good at directions and that are good at technology, because that's not but I'm a go-getter. I like to get up, keep going. But the downside to that is that I would say, I need to take this class, and I need to learn this thing, and I need to hurry up and do this and do that. And it was never enough. And I would be looking at these high profile entrepreneurs thinking that I had to be up to those type of standards. And it was extremely stressful.
Yeah.
I would say for a good 6 months. And no one was putting that pressure on me except for me. It's not like Tracy was telling me that. She was probably telling me the opposite. Rest, self-care, this and that. So I had to choose to listen to, I'm looking at the verse right here, says, I'm the vine, you are the branches. If you remain in me and I in you, you will bear much fruit. So bear much fruit. In other words, abundance. My nonprofit will grow, and it will grow in a healthy manner that I can actually be able to grow with it. And I had to choose to unplug from those type of platforms. And I did, actually. I blocked them all, not because they were bad. They were good for me. And, I have to choose to wake up early, spend time in prayer, get the creative idea, run with it, run it by my mentors, and then just do that until the next door opens. And so that's how I've been able to grow the nonprofit in a healthy manner, just by taking one step at a time and not feeling like I have to be this big, amazing entrepreneur. Because I believe amazing entrepreneurs get there step by step. Yes. Doing it right.
Yes. And that is huge. That is huge. Being able to self-correct and self-edit. Speaking of major entrepreneurs, one of the nonprofits that I serve, they've done so much in the nonprofit era. And that's one thing that they told me, which was being able to self-edit is huge for your nonprofit and for yourself. So there are so many people who will never be able to have the peace to see something that's not going well and they're not doing correctly, and be connected enough to, okay, how can I adjust that? How can I adjust how I'm thinking about this to see things in a better way? That's a gift in itself, to be able to say, okay, what's my part in this? One of my favorite questions to ask is, because I feel like, when you're connected and when you're connected to your gifts, things run smoothly. Things are running, things flow. So I personally feel like there's something I'm doing to overthink things. So I'll ask myself, the question is, how am I overthinking this? How
Yeah.
can I make this more simple? And I always get an answer. It'll always be a huge like, oh wow, I'm really, you know what? It's just a thought like the stitch in time, or it's just this or that. It's not, I don't have to have 30 minutes or an hour doing this each day. If I got 15 minutes to do it, it may just be a 15-minute, you know? And honestly, that's exactly where I was when it comes to the treadmill. I had decided, you know what, I'm going to get on there for at least 15 minutes. And guess what always happens? I'm like, okay, I've been on here for 15 minutes. Might as well. I can do 20. I can do 30, and there you go.
The small changes. The small changes that really change your course of your destination. I do have a resource that keeps coming to my mind as we talk. Can I share that real quick?
Absolutely.
Free. So I just came across this because I personally believe that, the longer I do this too, and when you're in a nonprofit director role, or, it can be high pressure and stressful. I just think counseling is so important, and having mentors and coaches. That's why I have Tracy, and I have a number of gentlemen that I meet with regularly from an organization called Family God's Way. Wonderful, just coaching. But there's also free resources. If you can't afford counseling, or, it's expensive. It takes a lot of time. But Dr. Henry Cloud, so it's Cloud. If you go on his podcast, and he's a really great therapist, but he talks about so many things, and they're free. And as I listen, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm dealing with that, like just different things, like even volunteers or somebody that's giving you a hard time, just to learn how to deal with things. Because honestly, as leaders, we're encountering things we've never encountered before, and we might not be set. So I think that counseling free resource has really helped me a lot.
Absolutely. That is huge. Even to be able to ask the right questions. If you're confused about something, one thing I would love to say for Michele, and our entire time we've known each other, she will ask a question. And I think that's huge for her go-getter journey, because if she doesn't know,
you're wrong.
She'll ask, and some people don't want to ask the question. They're nervous about asking a question, or if always remember that someone went through this in some type of way before you. So if you're struggling in the area, to link with someone who's done it or who is doing it, there's so many ways to do that free. Even I think that sometimes our conveniences can sometimes be, there's a saying that this one girl says, and I know I don't want to butcher it, but she says, we are surrounded by information, but drowning with a lack of knowledge. Oh, I don't believe that was nothing but the Lord there that it came. Yes, that's really it. We are surrounded by information, but drowning with the lack of knowledge. That you have all this information around you. You used to have to get up, and I remember these days going to the library to research something, looking for the book. They didn't have to have it; they had to order it from another library. You literally can research whatever you want to research. You have access to that. Most people at their fingertips have access to that. And we almost forget. It's almost too easy, and you forget that, what? Let me see. I can't get this right. Let me find someone who has. So I definitely piggyback that finding resources around you and surrounding yourself with other individuals who create a reciprocity relationship. They're pouring into you. You're finding ways to pour into them. They're uplifting you. You're uplifting them. So many times we have ourselves in relationships and surrounded by relationships that are maybe not beneficial to us, but maybe we don't know that because we don't have anything to compare it to. And we have the opportunity to link with so many people now. That's a huge opportunity that everyone has, that I think that absolutely utilizing that opportunity is huge. Absolutely. Let's read a couple of more and we will wrap up here. what is one of the main things that you guys are raising funds for? Of course, we're going to have Michelle's information below here, guys. And you'll be able to link with her, donate, follow her because she's coming live and going to be doing some new live things as well this March. What is the area that you guys are actively raising funds for right now?
So I would say right now it's mainly a van, like a large cargo van. And the reason being is because right now we have a box truck, which is wonderful. But what we're building to is doing multiple sites on the same day. So we would need multiple vehicles. And we also want to incorporate more fresh fruits and vegetables because a lot of the food that we get is from the food bank and it's wonderful, but it's like meats and cheeses, eggs, bread, that sort of thing. Not always a whole lot of fresh fruits and vegetables. And so what we would like to do is have that cargo van go to a local farm stand, local vendors, pick up the fruit, and then meet us there so that we can have a variety of things to offer the families.
That's awesome. That is awesome. And I'm glad that you guys have that on your heart because I know that can be a tough thing when it comes to pantries because they don't want stuff to go bad. But then at the same time, now, those healthy things that we talked about earlier with connecting with your faith and things like that aren't available for these families. And so I'm glad that you guys have seen that and are trying to do something to correct that issue. And you are in Newark, New Jersey. Did I say that right?
I'm actually in Camden City.
You're in Camden. Where did I get Newark?
Yeah, Newark is more up north, but
okay.
Also a city in New Jersey. But we're in Camden City. It's actually considered a food desert in Camden City because there's no supermarket really local. It's on the outskirts of town. But people that don't have transportation, it's very difficult for them to get there. And then, so most people are shopping at these little mom and pop, bodegas on the corners and things like that, which it's not the greatest food. So that's why we really want to supply them with things that, first of all, they're having meals together as a family, and it's healthier food. So
awesome. So guys, you'll be able to click her links and donate and find out more information as well. We will read the rest of you all's mantras here. Taking a step without seeing the whole staircase. Yes, I love that concept. Taking a step, one step at a time. Absolutely. Gayla also mentioned God works all things together for our good. Thank you. Yes, absolutely on that one.
Right on track, Gayla.
Right on track. Nothing that is checking in for me will ever miss me. I love that. I love that because you can immediately think, if the opportunity didn't exist, I'll never forget a little story that I remember growing up when I was grown and looking for my first home. I remember that I saw this house that I fell in love with, and I was like, "Oh my goodness, I have to have this." At the time, I had a daycare. A lot of you guys know that I had a daycare for 10 years, and I was looking for a place that had like multiple living rooms, so I was able to have the daycare in there. I thought it was amazing, and for some reason, we did not get the house, and I was devastated, of course. But a couple of months later, of course, we found something that was much better, 10 times better than that property.
Always.
And I was able to get, and so just always knowing that if it's meant for you, then you'll get it. Just being in that receptacle attraction, I feel like that's an abundance energy when you're letting things unfold naturally, not out there, trying to just think that you're forcing it. Absolutely. And when you're trying to force it, that means you're not really connected because when you're connected, it's unfolding correctly anyway. So you're just kind
of relationships too. You hear folks talking about that with dating.
Yeah.
You don't want to force it. You wait.
Absolutely. I would say that's 100% when it comes to my background, when it comes to relationship. It was like, I'm in the best relationship I've ever been in my life. I'm married to my soulmate. Shout out to him who's definitely watching. Honey, it makes me extremely happy. I didn't even know this type of love existed. It was like, but let me tell you what happened. I'm always big on taking areas that you win in one area. How can I apply that to another area? Because it may be the same spiritual tools, energetic things that I can use to grow in this area. And the biggest switch that I had that took me from attracting not so good people to attracting an amazing person was just what you just said. not forcing it. Like, you know what? I'm going to enjoy this time. If it's for me, it'll come. If it doesn't happen, that's fine too. I'm going to work on me. I'm going to work on my businesses. I'm going to work on my children at the time. And I'm going to just, I'm just going to do me and enjoy other people and bring my value. You know what I mean? I hate that concept, what you're bringing to the table, but that's different from what value do I know I have? And how can I link with people who will be able to accept that value and grow from that value? And also they have value as well that's going to grow with me as well. And we can blend and make these beautiful things and make these beautiful creations together. And again,
that was attractive to your husband. That's what attracted him.
That's what attraction, absolutely. And you can use the same thing for business.
That's attractive. Whether it's a romantic attraction or just, oh, I really like being around that person. Is like because they don't have to force anything or prove anything. Just
absolutely
you are. And
those are the type of people that I like to be around too. I like to be around people because a lot of times if you're in a forceful energy with yourself, you automatically offer that same forceful vibration when it comes to other people. Like, oh no, you shouldn't do that. No, you should do this. No, you should. I'm a firm believer in here's how you know if people are for you.
Yeah.
If they're wanting to make sure that you are connected intuitionally. If they say something like, you know what? Well, I don't know. What do you think about that? Have you taken some time and prayed on that? What are when they're trying to help you to operate those muscles, then you know that, you know what? They are for me because they don't know what. I may intuitionally say, you know what? I think we need to take a break or I think we need to, but you know what? They're like, if you're connected and if this is the way that you're feeling like you need to lead and it's going to be developing in your life, it's going to be something that's going to be fruitful in your life. That's what I'm about. That's with or without me. That's with or without our connection. And then you're just making genuine, authentic, romantic and business relationships.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So to definitely pull all those lessons from everywhere. Nothing that is truly meant for me will ever miss me. So absolutely, same in business. If you're in an organization where you have to pull in for donations or you have to sell your services, remember you're always presenting. You're presenting an opportunity for someone to donate to an organization that's doing some amazing things in the community. I firmly believe money is energy. So where I'm putting and where I'm sowing my funds, that all comes back around to me as well. So you're just offering them an opportunity and offering them an outlet. Be comfortable offering those things because it's win-win.
I was going to say you changed my perspective on the win-win thing. It is a win-win. It is 100% a win-win because they want that too. So you come with that confidence of, hey, if you want to do this, great. If not, that's okay because somebody else down the road's going to do it.
That's it. Absolutely. Let's read the last ones. Oh, we went over my hard hour here. All right. I'm always going one day. I'm going to manifest a 30-minute time slot, but it's okay. I'm here for staying over, definitely. The last one we have here, guys, and we will let you all go. Fear and faith can't occupy the same space.
This
one is huge for me when I get overwhelmed with anxiety and fear. Yeah.
That's right.
That's 100% true, that they cannot stay in the same place. As soon as you start switching to that faith and start removing that fear, your energy, everything around you. I'll tell a story. I'll be sharing the picture a little bit later on this week, but just a firm kind of to piggyback that thought. My son in school had Dress Like Your Favorite Book Character Day. Okay. And we had a king costume. He was a king for Halloween last year. So that worked out. Lion King, he likes that one. So he put his king costume on and he was on his virtual school king costume, everything. The class ended and we're like, okay, you want to take that off now? And he's like, no, I look good. So, and he kept it on. And, I saw his energy just different because he felt like royalty. He had on that crown and he was just bouncing around the house and, he felt like a king. But it's so amazing how you have the capability with what you're intaking, with what you're meditating on, with these mantras and things like that to completely shift your energy. To be like, oh, wait a minute. And if you don't have it in you, if you can't think of nothing, we go back to your tip that you said earlier. finding someone that you know, okay, let me go to their page, let me find their video, let me go on Trello on this video, click this link, because I know this information, this knowledge is going to put me in a good place. So I love that. Thank you for that being the ending one here, Marika. Fear and faith cannot occupy the same space. And thank you so much, Michele, for coming on. This has been wonderful.
Thank you for teaching me so much over the past, I don't even know, Tracy, a year?
Over a year, yeah, it has.
A lot.
Oh, I appreciate that.
I would not be where I am without her help, or it would have taken me a whole lot longer and a lot more of this gray hair.
I appreciate that. I appreciate us being able to connect as well. It's wonderful to be able to connect people who you can see the same spirit, the same energy, the same hope for change and hope for community improvement as you see in yourself. That's really what my mission and my vision is. So I appreciate it. I will see you guys next week, this coming week. If you haven't checked out our calendar, go on over to our website or go over to our Facebook page, I would say, and check out our calendar, guys, for this month, where you can see everything that's going on this week specifically. We're going to be doing a grant update. So what's going on in the grant world? What are some grants that you should keep your eye on? What's some that you can apply for now? What's some tips when it comes to that area as well? And then next Saturday, we will have someone else on and we'll be talking more on abundance, guys. So I will see you all in the next live. Thanks again, Michele. See you all later. Have a wonderful weekend.